It's been a while. Well, I still struggle to come up with a catchphrase for my YouTube audience. And I'm sorry, I'm just an old man, hopelessly outdated. And yeah, I was thinking, I haven't made a video in a while. That's something I can say every video with confidence without having to cringe inside. I want to stick with going through my Twitter feeds because I think that worked quite well last time and gives me, something to look at and talk about. One of the reasons why I've been relatively silent lately, because I've been working more on the business development side. Last year I joined a mentorship program where the PGDA Austria, which is a local game development society, that tries to bring about positive change for the industry. They offered a mentorship program and I joined, and I had the great honor of having Dietmar Hauser, who is a local veteran figure in the Austrian space, listen to my ramblings for a few months. And so we talked a lot about my ideas of scope, budget, financing, all of this. I'm obviously getting to a state where this is going to the 6th year now. I have a lot of work done, and this is where I feel confident of starting talks. It's too bad that last year I got approached about all of this because I don't think I was ready yet, and I don't want to be in a position again where I'm caught with my pants down, so to say. So I prepared some business slides, and we had a couple of iterations there. So next time I need to talk about Mazestalker, I'm in a good position to do so. Also, I did a lot of work to enlist in various funds, which is an incredible amount of paperwork. So that's been the one thing that's kept me stuck. And there's one more. Last year I started working as a project manager for a game development company, and so I saved up the money to get some new hardware, and I managed to obtain a new system right before the hardware apocalypse set in. So basically the same rig, if you buy it now, is basically twice the price. Fantastic, right? So I was very lucky to pick up a system in the last moment, and I've been very busy with that too, because on my old PC it wasn't possible to update Unity because the compiling time was already like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And so, copying back and forth versions, and it's hours and hours of work where you see, well, you have to roll it back or something. It was impossible to do it on my old rig, and so I had to wait for the new one. And so I'm also in the process of updating my Unity version, which is an absolute nightmare, of course. If you don't do that gradually, then of course you have to deal with a lot of bugs and problems at once, which is not ideal, and I've been stuck with that for the last few months, and it's we're still not done. Like, there's still a lot of issues that arose from that I have to address. Not all of it my fault. So yeah, that is also something, I can show you progress and it's gonna look exactly like it looked before. So because updating Unity, you can imagine as having 5 steps backwards, and so every time I take another step forward, what am I gonna show? Like, yeah, it looks worse than it did. So so yeah, in that regard, it's very hard to talk about progress at the moment. There is one feature that I did want to talk about though. As soon as I upgraded my Unity version, I was prototyping this, and it taught me quite a lot of things about Seems that I have to buy some silence with yummies, but okay. That's my life. Anyways, the feature, yes. I finally managed to implement a trap that I had envisioned for a while. As you can see here, there were a couple of iterations, and it taught me again why it's interesting to design for an isometric engine. With the loss of perspective, it becomes very hard to judge distances, heights, all of that. And so this trap here went through a couple of iterations. For example, I implemented this fake lighting below it because I figured, I do shadows that work, so with light it should be the same. And since I cannot really use volumetrical lighting, that would be way too expensive, I just decided to use a simple decal effect for that. And I think it works quite well. The movement of the effect, I realized, the way Nintendo designs things in Mario games is they're all about industrial design. So, Mario has very readable shapes and designs and everything that has a purpose, shows you that purpose, and that includes the behavior design as well. We indie devs always have this disease of making things more interesting, right? Oh, if this becomes more random, it's like more like challenging and so on. But no, that's not what makes games fun. If you look at Mario, everything has a predictable pattern, that you can learn. It's like learning a dance, and that's what's interesting about mastering these games, because you start learning the patterns and then you can predict what's going to happen, and then you can adjust your behavior. And so I did a lot in this effect to pacify all this visual noise that you saw earlier and make sure that it's still not done, to be honest, but I think it's getting to the point where you can at least, figure out what's going on the screen. And a lot of that has to do with, making it more predictable and removing, like, for example, I had these lines just grow forever, but it turned out that if they reach a max height and then go on like this, it's much more predictable and readable, and little things like that add up over time, and then you get something that actually works. And I'm also working on a couple of new enemies and things like that, but who cares? Finally, there's one more thing I would like to talk about. Something that got finally done is my cinematic part of the trailer. So how do I even talk about this? Because, in the indie scene, indie developers have to do so many things that obviously they cannot be good at everything. And so there's a lot of discourse about how to make a good game trailer, and I trust myself. I think I know what I stand for, and it's very important for me that my work reflects that. I just cannot justify following, what you're supposed to do, and that is gameplay. If you look at most indie trailers, they are so chaotic and so loud and so fast and so overwhelming that honestly, most of the time I find them very off-putting. Okay, so I will admit that if you show a gamer a video game trailer, you have to tell them what kind of game this is, so they can judge if this is worth their time and relevant to them. There's thousands of games, no one wants to watch 1,000 game trailers, so you need to be fast in showing them, this is the kind of game we're talking about. So I will open my trailer with gameplay footage, just to be clear. And, I will do it like a cinema trailer where it opens with very fast clips of some gameplay stuff that shows you like the highlights. And so okay, this is an action adventure RPG in a colorful style, let's say. So if that's your kind of thing, stick around, take my hand and let me guide you. And part of that is, what do I have here? I have a game that has Metroidvania Labyrinth below the surface, a Zelda overworld, Zelda dungeons, it has action combat, it has puzzles, it has treasure collecting, it has secrets, it has a deep story, it has characters, what I want to open with is the message that this will have substance. If you're looking for an experience that is built with intent, then please follow me into the rabbit hole. And of course, after that cinematic part, we get back to gameplay footage and stuff like that. But it's very important for me that we have this slow and cinematic opening, because no matter what happens with this TikTok generation, something that builds atmosphere and tension and mystery and intrigue is still something that works very effectively on most people. And that's why I want to open like this. I want to introduce a character, and it should show you that this is someone you would be interested in learning more about. And so yeah, this is how I want to achieve that, with a short cinematic introduction that just sets the atmosphere. And I can tell you that pretty much every single trailer consultant will tell you not to do this. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not making the 100th roguelite choose 3 slop game. I'm here to tell you a story that's special. I'm saying all this because this was, of course, a significant amount of work. I mean, it took me 2 years to put all of this together. And the process is also very interesting, because if you have a keen eye, you will see that I did end up using AI here or there for certain things, but it's still a mostly hand-built piece of media. Almost all the animations are hand-drawn by artists. The composition is all done by me manually. I just, if you think you can just make me a trailer doing this or that, I mean, good luck. We've all seen those AI slop commercials on YouTube. But it is important to understand that AI can, help you fill some of the gaps. Because, I did work on this for 2 years, and I can work on it for 5 years. But that's not really very feasible. I'm very happy with how it ended up. I don't know where it will pop up at some point. I need to find a good place to debut my trailer, which will be a lot more than this, of course. This is just the cinematic part. But I am still very proud that I got this done. One piece that I don't have to revisit constantly, because this is something that every month or so I would go in and put in the new footage that I got from some artists, and now I can move on and do other things again. So it makes me very happy. Yeah, that's it for today, I think. As usual, I'm very grateful for anyone who's even watching this or interested in my process. The last few months have been pretty frustrating because of all the explained reasons. I've not been able to work on the game much. So I'm literally burning inside already. I can't wait to work on new levels and puzzles and enemies and combat encounters and all of that good stuff. Yeah, and that's hopefully what I can talk about next time. So